This is my life with albinism.
Now, this is my life with albinism.
And this is my life with albinism.
Welcome back to another episode of Life with Albinism. I'm your host, Dale.
And I'm Avery.
India.
And we have a special guest today. She was actually on one of our most viewed episodes, so she's not a new guest. We're happy to have her back. We're going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Ibeliz. My Instagram is Rubia_Sarcita, so it's spelled RUBIA_SARCITA.
There you go.
All right, and now you actually presented a really good topic that I wanted us to discuss today. So I'll let you introduce the topic.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk about those of us here in New York and who are able to use Accessoride. If you're not familiar with it, what Accessoride is, it is basically a rideshare program given by the MTA, the New York City Transit Authority. What you do is there are two different types of ways you can do it. You can either call a day ahead and you can set up, different trips of where you want to go within the 5 boroughs. Or some people are fortunate enough to have same days where they can just call right then and there and get a cab and be on their way.
So now with that being said, who else, because I know I use Accessoride. Does anyone else here use Accessoride?
I do.
Okay.
I do, but I haven't used it recently in the past, I think a year or two. Only because I was like wanting to take the train and stuff more. Just so I have basically be better at travel. Because you visually impaired, is hard to travel in a sense to where you feel like, all right, my vision is really bad, so how am I going to know where I'm supposed to go and everything? So that's what the purpose of that was for. But being as though I felt like I needed to be a lot more capable of traveling if I don't have access to Accessoride, that's what,
Okay, so you do have an account with Accessoride.
I never really use it like in a while.
Okay, so the only one here without it is Avery. So Avery, any particular reason why you don't use Accessoride?
No, I don't know why, honestly. I gotta try it. I've been saying it, but I'm gonna get on it. So.
I was the same way too. I was like, I don't know. Then I was like, let me just, why not?
See, for me, once I knew that service was available, I hopped on it really quick because I think about things like work. You know what I mean? I want to be able to get to work on time. I want to be able to travel wherever I need to in the drop of a dime. And speaking of work, one of my issues with Accessoride is it's never on time. They always show up, like in my personal experience, they always show up super early or super late.
Or they'll cancel on you.
I've had that.
Or they'll pretend that, oh no, there's no ride or there's no whatever. I wanted to ask though, do you guys utilize the perk, or do you guys have it as well as when they give you the Metro card with the ride?
Yeah. Oh yes. I have that. So I have the account, like you're stating, where I get a free unlimited monthly Metro. And it lasts for like 2 years, and then every 2 years you renew it. Do you have the free Metro too, India?
No, I actually don't. Only because I did not know about this. So now that I know, I think I can get one. Just
yeah. You never know. You should be able to.
So just to let everybody know, if you do have Accessoride, you are entitled to have the free monthly Metro, and it's super useful. And it even has extra swipes for a companion that you might be traveling with. They call it a PCA. So I use Accessoride all the time. I use it to go to work. I use it to go to the movies. I use it to go wherever, the gym, wherever.
But the one thing is though, because like a lot of the times, like they'll send you like a Uber or like a Lyft or like sometimes you'll get like a yellow or a green taxi. Yeah, sometimes you get the curb. But let's talk about how there are times where you will get the big bus, the big old van with the double doors and the stairs you gotta walk up. So there was one day a friend of mine and I were being all cute. We went on Valentine's Day and we were all like, you know what I mean? We were just taking the rides here and there, whatever. So our last trip, we were coming back home from the movies. So she looks outside the window. She starts laughing. She goes, "Your ride is here." And then I look out the window and I was like, oh. They sent me that big old bus to get in, and I was just like, and of course, it's the movie, so there's nothing but glass windows. So everybody sees me walking out and getting out in my Accessoride. Which is funny because we always used to joke, like, all right, what if we take the Accessoride to the club one day? Because the thing is, you don't know what they're sending. Like, sometimes, you don't know what they're sending to you sometimes. So it's like a surprise. Hey, surprise!
Yeah, like from what so that's embarrassing to you?
I mean, for me, it is embarrassing because, like I said, for that moment, that instant, like we were dressed up to the T, like we were like looking real scrumptious that night. So to then have people like look at us like getting in on the Accessoride, like, girl, what? But I'm not gonna sound ungrateful. Like I'm still very grateful. You know what I mean to have this. But I did feel
the big bus.
I did feel embarrassed having to get on that.
It's very conspicuous. And here's the thing, for me, I'll be honest, I'm not embarrassed as long as I'm not going. I think for me it would be work. If I'm going to work and I show up like that, I'm gonna be a bit embarrassed because you work with these people, so they're gonna see you every day. You know what I mean? You know, so. But if I was like going to like, let's say the movies or going to the gym or going to a friend's house, then I wouldn't care. But going to somewhere important where it's someone like, imagine a date.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine you go on a date and you pull up in the big white Accessoride van, like that would be kind of embarrassing. You know, so, but let me ask y'all, would y'all be embarrassed to ride the van? Or only in certain...
It would be in certain occasions. It's
like what occasion is embarrassing and which one isn't?
If I'm not pulling up to nothing that's, I'm going out for dinner, it's the club, it's a party, the way I pull up, it's not going to be in no van and I'm decked out to a T. Like, I'm not doing that.
The image of that is just off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
What, the cat?
That cat is quick.
But, yeah, it's like the experience that I've had, though. They always send me the van when I'm going to the airport. I've never went to the airport without the van. Or when I'm going a long distance. So, like, when I booked it to, like, Yonkers or kind of far into Queens, then I get the van. What about you? Is it only when you're going long distances, or is it just random?
I feel like they pick and choose. It's very random because like there's times that my mom doesn't live a far distance from me. There's been a time where we hopped on the van and that's like a 10-minute ride. But so they pulled up, but thankfully it was a rainy day. So I was just like, all right, y'all, like, okay, like all right. But then there'll be times like if I go a long distance, like when I go to like the Walmart that's all the way out in Green Acres, like they'll send. I always know like they're about to send me the big old bus. Always. Always. Like when I take that ride, I'm like, they're absolutely gonna do that. But like I said, like it's great. Like I'm still grateful for the experience. But,
and you can't choose the way like how they pick you up. It just has to be that.
No, it just has to be how wherever they send you, that's how you're going. And the only way you really know that you're getting the bus is that like 15 minutes because the bus is always on time. Like that's the only time Accessoride is on time is when you get the bus or like the little mini bus. Like you know how they have the minier one? Yeah, that little white one. Those are always on time. Like, and they'll call you 15 minutes before and they'll be like, your ride will be here in exactly 15 minutes, and they are there in exactly 15 minutes. Like that's the only way you know what they're sending to you.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, you can't even choose. You can't choose at all. And I even tried. Here's the thing. One time I actually called Accessoride and asked them, like, hey, can I get the car and not the van? Or can I choose? And they made it very clear, nope, we send you what we send you.
Yeah, right.
But the only commonality I've seen so far is if I'm going long distance, I'm always guaranteed to get it. And when I go to the airport, I'm always guaranteed to get it. But yeah, there have been times where I just booked it to work and still got the van.
You still got the van.
But I'm not gonna lie. One time I told the guy to stop at the corner before I got in front of my job. I was like, hey, you can drop me
right here. If you don't give somebody who's like very like particular, no, I have to drop you exactly. Like you're like, you know what? I'm good. It's a red light. Like let me not even bother. You don't have to turn the corner. Like I'm alright.
I done did that too. Be at the red light, like, I'm right here.
But the thing is, it's not just those. Like, I'll do it in a regular cab too. Like when they send me like just a regular car to go. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like I'll go around the corner. Like so, I don't want to seem as I'm being like extra like bougie or sedity about it. Like because sometimes that's what it is. I'm like, if I'm at a red light, I'm hopping out and I'm going. And that's that. But,
yeah, and I know some people be embarrassed for us. Like I remember one time I was calling my friend and I was going over her house and I remember she was like, "You better not pull up in that accessorized van." She was like, "Don't let me see that van outside."
Oh man,
that's crazy.
And just so everyone knows, I'm talking about Tony Murray. Okay.
You know I had a feeling that's what you was.
Yeah, yo, every time I visit her, she's like, "You better not have that van. If that van is there, you better get out in front of the complex."
You better tell her to order you an Uber then, order you a Lyft. Like, listen, you go ahead and you pay that. Cause that's another thing. Taking accessorize, the benefit of that is only $275. It's the same like if you would be paying to get on the train, just the luxury of not having to get on the train. But then there's another thing about it that there are times where you can be sharing your ride, and let's say you pick that person up second, you could have to travel all the way to wherever they're going and then get to wherever you're going.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's another thing, and that's happened to me a lot, especially during like prime time hours when I'm going to work at like 9. It happened to me like that where sometimes it could be a lot of people. I've been in there one time where it was 3 of us all going to separate destinations, and like you said, it sucks up your time. Like I couldn't even make it to work on time because I was like the last person to get picked up. So I had the last destination. So you had to ride with them all the way to the person number 1 stop, then person number 2 stop. Then you finally get to your stop. So now by then you're mad late. Yeah. You know, and that's another thing you cannot control. You cannot control who, if they're gonna pick up other people or not. So unfortunately you be stuck. And then you gotta you're sharing the ride with that person. So you gotta deal with whatever. If they on the phone and they wanna have a loud, obnoxious conversation, you just gotta deal with it. If they gotta go all the way to Brooklyn first and then bring you back to Manhattan, you gotta deal with it.
It's part of the route.
Right.
But actually, India has said something interesting when you said that the reason why you wanted to like take public transportation more is because you wanted to be able to navigate and stuff in the city. Yeah. Have you ever thought about? Have you ever done mobility training?
Yeah, you know what? When I was younger, my mother had mentioned to me. Well, she reminded me that when I was younger, I had to get a lot of mobility training from my home and school and things like that. So I did have it when I was younger. I don't know for how long of a period of time, but I do know that I have had it. It wasn't bad, but I would say the downside of it is everybody with albinism does not share the same vision type. We all have different levels of our vision. Some may be born with really bad vision. Some may not be born with that not that bad vision. For if they need to correct their eyes or put on glasses, they'll be fine. So their training kind of was limited because they boxed every blind person together and it's like, this is how I'm going to train you guys to, you know what I'm saying? Because they figure that people who are blind or you're legally blind, like you might not be seeing color, you might be seeing complete black. So, and that note, that's where the con was for me. I felt like they trained everybody with one technique and not.
Oh, I see it. Instead of people who may have slightly better or slightly worse vision.
Because when you're in a classroom with all blind people, what is your first thing you're thinking? They all can't see.
Right.
But you're not thinking, is their vision levels the same?
Yeah,
to understand.
That's a good.
Okay, they need to be taught differently. So when I was in the vision mobility, that was the worst con because one person couldn't see anything and she was reading Braille. The next person, all she needed was glasses, but she took the training if her vision never got low. So you're in a room with many different levels, and the fact that people don't train for that shows that they might not know or understand that part about visual impairment.
That's a really good point because depending on the severity of your vision determines how you would need to travel. Like for me, for example, my vision is low, but it's still good enough so I can get on the train by myself. But somebody with completely no vision probably can't do that. Well, couldn't do that. So the way that you would train someone like me to travel around should be much different than the way you train someone who's completely blind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because there might be people like even like we're talking about people who are visually impaired, but even people with albinism, like all of our vision is completely different.
Right.
So like, you know what I mean? Some of us can see our eyesight is stronger than to other people. Like,
Yep,
I remember we were talking earlier about like if you would have to use a cane or something like that. You know, like you just different adaptive things that you would need. So it's like some people even need sighted guide, like, you know what I mean? And then depending on like what the weather looks like, you know what I mean? Like you need that. Like if it's too sunny outside, if it's too foggy looking outside, if it's dark outside, we all need something that's completely different. And it's interesting because even though we live in New York and it's the city, some of these lights don't work. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's interesting how they have something like them making the signs bigger, like that, you know, the street sign stuff that tells you the street and the avenue, like making them bigger. How about changing the contrast? Because that green, that white against that green, that's not always the easiest thing.
Yeah, it's not, especially not at a distance.
Yeah, especially not at a distance.
Green is hard
that
to
green,
see.
and then it's like, wait, what? But you could always see that black and white one-way sign, no problem. I'm like, all right, so why y'all can't make it that same color? Like, you know what I mean? Or even use like a navy blue. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if they would take things like that into consideration for different people. I mean, I love the fact that now, like, it's becoming more of a thing where they have the sound boxes by the
by the lights,
the walkway, the crosswalks, and it'll tell you, like, it'll beep, like it's like, okay, like it's not time to go, and then it'll tell you, all right, you can walk, like, you know what I mean? Like there are things like that helps, you know what I mean, to make it easier for us. And that's extremely helpful because there's times like my vision is like good, like it's up there, but if it's like too sunny a day and I don't have my sunglasses on me or something, I'm squinting, I'm trying to look and see. But if I hear, like, there's certain things that, you know what I mean, like in mobility training I had when I was younger that they taught me, like if you hear the traffic going, like, you know what I mean, on this side, you know that it's okay for you to cross the street right here. Like, you know what I mean, even for safety wise, we know that we're always supposed to be on the right side of the street because that's the way the traffic should be moving. If whatever direction you're at, you should be on the right side. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just different things to help navigate. And I feel like when we know some of these like little tools, it makes it easier for us to be able to like figure out where we're going. Like, have y'all see, like, when you get off the train, it says like, oh, you're on the northwest corner or you're on the southwest corner. You just sitting there staring like, I'm just trying to get the street. Like, what are you talking about? But when you know those different like those tiny little techniques, like that'll definitely make it 1,000% easier to like get around in your route.
So now this leads me to the second part of our discussion, but just really quickly, so overall Accessoride is an amazing service. So if you do have albinism, if you do have low vision or blindness, please definitely sign up for Accessoride in New York City. It's a great service. But all right, so now the next topic, I want us to start discussing more current events and things that's popular in the news as our final segment. So as you know now, the self-driving cars and the electric cars are becoming very, very popular. And soon they're going to have flying cars and all this other stuff. But as of right now, there's so many Teslas and so many electric cars that are like fully automated where it self-drives and you don't have to drive it. You don't have to have your hand on the steering wheel or your foot on the gas.
I wouldn't trust that. I definitely would not trust that, though. Like, I can't have a machine driving for me. You know what I mean? Like,
as fun as it sounds, it has some guiding restrictions.
Like, what if it malfunctions?
Yeah, I was about to say, if it malfunctions,
you got a whole vehicle, you on the highway, you speeding. It could just happen to, malfunction.
Like that couple on
a rainy day or something. It would be your luck. Like, you'd be like, damn it.
What happened with the couple on the prom?
Yeah, I didn't see on the news. That couple, it was their prom, and they were in a Tesla, and the Tesla malfunctioned or something, and unfortunately, they both lost their lives.
Wow.
They someone had rented a Tesla for them to ride, and that's the thing. Like, that's like, any type of machine or anything that's being operated, like, that's the gamble of it all. Like, you know what I mean?
So now the question that I had for you all was, being that these cars are becoming self-driving and self-automated, should we now, as people with low vision, be allowed to have a driver's license and be able to have those type of cars?
I feel like if it's dangerous if it has its cons for an average person, somebody with albinism, it's best that we just get assisted with going back and forth if we choose not to take public transit. Because again, if that thing malfunctioned, then driving that car feeling, you know what I mean? So,
right. But I guess more so what I'm trying to ask is, should people with low vision now be given a driver's license because we have cars that can drive themselves?
No.
I think that if that was the case, there would have to be a lot of restrictions on that.
Yeah.
It would have to be restrictions. No, for real, because that's scary. It's just like and I'm sorry to say this, and I don't want to offend anyone. It's the same thing like with senior citizens, with them driving. You know what I mean? Like they can still drive. They were once able to, but it's like once you reach a certain age, and then your sight changes. Like you know what I mean? Like you get a little sleep.
So you would still be concerned about a person with low vision operating a self-driving car?
Yes, absolutely. I'm nervous with people. I'm nervous with people who can and who do have licenses with them driving. People get into accidents all the time, but it's not even anything to do with their vision. Like there's outside influences and things, you know what I mean, happening around us. Like, all right, so if it's a self-driving car, but then you should still know how to drive though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like,
but do I need the should I have a vision requirement?
I mean,
if it's self-driving,
I think so, because would you let a completely blind person then behind that vehicle?
But
I'm serious. Like, would you like?
For real though.
Would you feel safe like being like walking across the street and like this person's completely blind and they don't know? Like, what happens when like the ambulance and things like that car? It has to be able to like be like, oh, there's an ambulance coming. Oh, there's a such and such. Oh, there's a cat crossing the street. Like you never know. I know cats don't cross the street, but it's the concept.
But my thing is this, right? So those cars have sensors and cameras all around it to determine when someone's in front of it, when something's behind it, when something's in the middle of the road.
Hold on. So let me ask you. You yourself, are you comfortable with Damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Lord.
Let me put it to you like this, Dale. You know your vision, right? You know your vision. You know what you can. You know what you can see. So you knowing your vision, would you feel comfortable with someone with your level of vision? You're out walking in the street. Will you be comfortable with someone with your level of vision behind that wheel?
If and only if it's one of those self-driving cars.
Okay.
If it's so my thing is this, but I guess this is where the contradiction is about to come. I probably wouldn't be comfortable if it was a completely blind person behind the Tesla. That probably sounds a bit scary. But so I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself, because I say I want that driver's license to be able to have a self-driving Tesla, but I see what you're saying. It's like the comfortability's still not there, because if your vision is not that well, then people probably still wouldn't want you behind the wheel. Right, y'all, we're back. Sorry, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but so just in closing, your answer: are you comfortable with someone with low vision operating a self-driving car? Your personal perspective.
My personal perspective is, I would say yes, with certain regulations being in place, and maybe if they had like some type of just, I still feel like you should be able to drive, because anything can happen with these vehicles. So just in case you have to hit it on a manual or something, you should be able to, like, even if you need, like I was saying, some type of adaptive technology, like if you need like glasses just to drive, or like need a telescope or something just to drive, like, or even if it's like you need a companion, like just like, when someone has a learner permit and it's supposed to be that you have to have someone there with you to drive, I think that would make me feel more comfortable.